So you want to make an Overwatch frag montage, huh? Let's roll that intro. Did it roll? Is the intro gonna roll the intro?
Oh, this you crazy mother.
What's going on, everybody? It's DeBurger, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make an Overwatch frag montage from scratch. So the Overwatch League just announced that they're doing a contest for frag montages where they're going to pick one winner to win $3,000, and I figured, why not give a guide on how to build something from scratch for those of you who want to enter but maybe don't know where to get started. Before we get into the video, let me introduce myself. I'm DeBurger, I'm the director of content for the Atlanta Reign, so I have a little bit of experience when it comes to editing Overwatch League footage. I wanted to make a video showing how to make a frag montage from scratch, so if you're a beginner or if you're an intermediate editor or even somebody who knows what they're doing but maybe hasn't gotten into Overwatch frag editing, you guys can jump around the video to the sections that you need help with. I'm thinking about doing more tutorial videos. If that's something that you guys would like to see, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you also comment down below with what types of videos you guys want to see in the future. And if you aren't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. So enough of me talking, let's get into the process. Alright, so before you can start editing, you have to first get yourself organized. And being organized doesn't have to be overcomplicated. After doing this for a few years now, I've developed an organization system that's just kind of easy for me. So I'm going to show you guys what my file structures look like in case you didn't know how to organize your files. So you want to make a new folder, and within that folder, we're going to make subfolders. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see. Boom. Awesome. So this is what a project folder looks like from my side. So as you can see, I have all my files here. I number them and then I label them. So we have 022. Montage tutorial. Yep, that's 22 projects that I have in the Atlanta Reign projects folder. Within your project folder, you're going to set up 5 different folders. So you're going to make an exports folder, you're going to make a footage folder, a GFX folder, projects folder, and an SFX folder. That's a tongue twister. So, for your footage folder, that's where you're going to store all of your footage, obviously. You're going to put GFX, so that's your graphics. Any Endcards, any title sequences that you make, lower thirds, all of that good stuff is going to live in your GFX folder. The projects folder is just for your Premiere files to be saved into, and your SFX is sound effects. So that's going to be where you store your music, and that's where you're going to store any extra sound effects. And that's just going to help you guys stay organized during this whole process. So now we're done with all the boring organizational stuff. Feel free to use any file structure that you guys like. I just know a lot of up-and-coming editors, they kind of leave files spread out up amongst their computer, and then the problem is if you want to go back to fix that project, or if you want to share it with somebody, you got to go and find all of your assets so you don't offline your media. So being organized will help you guys in future projects, and you can just take that structure and build a template folder of empty folders for all of your future projects, and then all you have to do is relabel them. So before you start your video, you really want to decide on whether you want to do a team-focused video, if you want to focus on an individual player, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you guys to find the footage that you need. So for this particular tutorial, we're going to be focusing on Baby Bay in the San Francisco Shock versus the Atlanta Reign match from a couple weekends ago, because I already have the footage saved, and because I wanted to get you guys a video out on how to do this in time for the May Melee tournament. So we're not going to use May Melee footage. So if you want your montage to look really, really good at source quality, the method I recommend is going through the replay viewer in Battle.net's client. So you're going to open your Battle.net client, you're going to go down to where it says version/region, and everybody has this option called Overwatch League Replay Viewer, and it's under current. Once you click that, you probably have to update it because a lot of people won't have used it before, and you're going to click on play. So once you're in the client, it's really easy. You find the match that you want. So we're going to find the San Francisco Shock versus Atlanta Reign from May 17th and click View Games. And it's going to pull up every single map that the team's played on. Now from here, it's really just about clicking on the player's POV, playing it, and then recording it from your computer. I'll make another tutorial if that's something that you guys want to see, but it's time consuming and it's relatively easy if you have shadow play or some sort of recording software. I've already gone ahead and done this. So once you do that, we can exit out of the replay viewer. We're finished with it. Alright, so now you have your player POV recorded. Before we get into the editing software, I always recommend gathering all of your assets before you start editing. Another asset that you're probably going to need or want is something to introduce your video as. So for this video specifically, I wanted to get a cinematic or a piece of footage of Widowmaker. So all you're going to do for that is we're going to hop into the main game client and go and record a character's highlight intro video. Great, so once we're into the regular game client, you're going to go to Hero Gallery, and you're going to pick on the hero that you want to use for your title sequence. In this case, we're using Widowmaker. For the purpose of the contest, if you have the team skin that you're representing, I highly recommend using it. We're going to go to her highlight intro, and this is the highlight intro we used. Now, as you can see, you have all this UI around her. That doesn't look very good. So if you just press Alt, Shift, and Z, it hides the UI, and then you just want to press record on your screen capture software, and now you have Widowmaker in her highlight intro saved to your footage folder. So now that you have all of your footage gathered, you have your client footage, you have the match VOD, you have all of your B-roll, you're finally ready to get into the editing software. Today, we're hopping into Premiere Pro. I use the Adobe Creative Cloud to do all of my editing. We already have Premiere open. So let's start our project file. So when you open your project, you're going to get a window like this. We're going to go to New Project. We're going to label it Tutorial Montage. You want to name it to whatever you want. And we're going to go down to where it says Location and Browse. And what we want to do is we want to find our project file. So we go to Projects, go to Montage Tutorial. We want to find our Projects folder. Select that and click Select Folder. And we want to leave everything else the same. I usually make my scratch disks the same as the project. So to do that, you just make sure that they're all connected to the same folder. And then we click OK. Great. So now what we want to do is we want to import some media so we can start cutting things together. So we're going to go to our, I use the editing pane. So we're going to go to editing at the top here. Make sure that this is the window we're seeing. We're going to import our media to start. So you can right click on import. And we want to go to our project file, click and highlight the footage folder and import. And I'm recording while being in the Adobe Suite, so it's gonna take some load time. Cool. Once your footage is imported, your next step is to just drop one of the pieces of footage in there so that we can create our sequence. So you want to drag and drop. We're using Lijiang Tower. Lijiang Tower is created in there. Now your sequence is created. It's gonna match your footage. You don't have to worry about time codes. That's some like more advanced stuff for later on. All right. So once your file is set up, your sequence is built. You're sitting here looking at a timeline. The first thing we want to do is we want to sync the POV of the player that we just recorded to the match audio so that you can have your caster's voice lines in your video. It's a very, very easy process, but it's going to give your video a little bit more flair than the average video that's just kills. So the process is very, very easy. You're going to take your VOD that we have downloaded. This is the match VOD from that day. We're going to delete this just to move it out. I try to keep a clean timeline when I can. So, this is your full VOD of the video. What we're going to do is we're going to find the first match of the day, which should be... Just scrub through it, find it. Our first map is Lijiang Tower. Syncing audio is very, very easy when it's Overwatch. So, all I do is I go to the piece of the timeline, so we're going to scrub through, until... We're going to use the clock here in our window to determine, to find the cut. So basically, all you're going to do is you're going to scrub through until it hits about 0.1 seconds left. So I'll show you guys what I mean. We're going to go to assembly. We're going to zoom this in so you guys can see what I'm seeing. So all you're going to do is you're going to scrub through until the prepare to attack sign goes down to like 0.1 seconds. So we're gonna wait. That's 0.9. Just keep scrubbing. And what you're looking for is for the 0.2. And then when you press your right arrow to go 1 frame forward, it changes to 0.1. That's your starting frame, is 0.2. So all you're gonna do now is you're gonna go back to our we can go back to our editing pane. You're going to find the footage from that map specifically. So I'm on Lijiang Tower here on the footage. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. You want to scrub back through where it says prepare to attack. And you're going to scrub through until this says 0.2. So this says 0.2 right here. And you just arrow forward until it goes 0.2, 0.1. Go back 1 frame so it's on 0.2. Press I for input. And you're going to drag your footage onto your time. So now what we have done, we can fit this to the screen. We can fit this. So now, if you hide the layer, it should say 0.2, 0.1. Cool. So now your audio is synced. So if you were lost at any point during that process, it's very, very easy. All we're doing is using the prepare to fight timer to synchronize our POV to the match VOD. Once that's done, the rest is simple. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do that for the other maps that the teams played. Now that we have our audio synced to the match audio of the casters, the next step is really, really easy. And all we're going to do is we're going to scroll through our video to cut out every time that a player gets a kill, a multi-kill, or does something cool. So I'm going to do one example for you guys, and then I'm going to speed through. This is probably one of the more time-consuming parts because you have to stop, pause, rewind, and cut. But the basic gist of it is you scroll into your timeline, you start finding the spots where your player gets kills. Now, pro tip for somebody who's been doing this for a while, don't watch the gameplay. You just want to scrub through the timeline and watch the kill feed. Watching the kill feed will indicate when your player gets a kill much, much easier than watching the player's POV itself. So I just scrub through until I find a point where Baby Bay gets a pick.
And they're not able to
So I saw that he got a pick over here. Again, I'm watching the kill feed. We're going to mute this audio. So I'm watching the kill feed. I'm not watching his POV. And right here, I know he kills Moth. Oh, wait, no. There we go. He kills Rascal. So right here, he eliminates Super. Oh, no, right here. My bad. Right here, he eliminates Rascal. So this is the timeline right here. So we want to go back a few frames before to the beginning of the kill where he's tracking Rascal. So there's the first shot. We're going to Control-Shift-K is how you split all the layers here. Delete all this stuff because we don't need the beginning. Play it through until he gets the kill. And then you want to leave a little bit of tail room, so we're going to Control-Shift-K again if you're on PC. And you have your first clip here. This is your first kill clip. You're going to go and repeat this process for every single kill the player gets. It sounds very, very time-consuming, and it is, but it's going to save you in the long run because if you don't cut every kill now, you're going to have to go back and watch all the footage again to find more footage to plug holes. So I'm going to go through, we're going to speed through the video while I do this, and we're going to get into the next step. Okay, so the hard part is over. You've gone through all of your footage. You've clipped out every single time your player gets a kill. The next part's really, really easy. We want to pick a song, and Blizzard made it even easier for you guys who are trying to enter the Overwatch League contest. They already gave you guys sound clips that you're allowed to use, so I've already gone ahead and I've picked out that sound for us. We're going to get into the audio portion of the video now. So I've already linked in the description below the page for the contest, for the video contest. So once you're on the page, they give you guys 3 songs that you're allowed to use. For this video, I used the bold stroke sound. It just had easier beats to hit on, and it had a little bit of like a rising and falling action, which is going to make it easier when we go. So we're just going to download that and put it into our sound effects folder, and we're going to jump back into the editing software. So we're in our timeline now. We're going to go to our project bin. We're going to make an import here. We're going to now import our SFX folder, which has our music in it. We're going to take the song and drop it into our timeline. And the next part's really, really easy. All we're going to do is go through the song and listen to it and mark every time there's a simple beat. So this song is relatively easy to do that with. We're just going to give it a listen here real quick. So you want to listen and start finding those beats. So you can hear the downbeat is ba, 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 ba. So all we're going to do is go through. You can do it two ways. You can listen to it and you can mark it as you play, or we can zoom into our timeline here, make the audio track bigger so we can see it, and you can actually see where the beats are in the waveforms of the song. I like to go through and listen to it because sometimes there's beat changes in the video that I want to mark out using my markers. So in order to make a marker, you just play through the timeline and then you press M on your keyboard and it's going to mark the top like so. And when you press M, as long as your audio track is not selected. So if you press M on your keyboard, you'll see that it creates this little marker. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to listen to the song, I'm going to create our markers, and then I'm going to fine tune the markers to the beats to make sure that we're actually on. So you may have noticed that while I was marking my video, I was also bobbing my head. It's not just because the tune is catchy, it's also because it helps you hit the beats, and it helps you kind of feel the flow of your video. So it may look a little bit silly, but it's really, really fun, and it also makes it really, really easy for you to find the beats and kind of feel the flow of your video. So once you have all of the beat markers of your song marked, or at least notated in your head, now comes the part where we just start dropping kills onto each downbeat. So this process is very, very easy. We're going to hop back into the software and see how it's done. So when we're in our editing software here, we have all of our beats noticed. I like to leave a little bit of the intro open so that we have room for our title. So we're actually going to start in the video about... We're going to start at the first kind of like hype piece of the video. That's about 30 seconds in. And we're going to find our first beat here. So on every one of those downbeats is what we're going to aim to put a kill on. So it's super easy. We're going to go find a piece of footage. Now to synchronize this and make it super crisp and super clean, you're going to scrub through the clip specifically. And Overwatch makes it very, very easy because they have the kill skull pop up. So you'll see it here on my window where one frame, it's not there. The next frame, you see the skull here, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. See the skull go from nothing. So it goes from nothing to there's a skull. That's your kill marker. So all we're going to do is we're going to trim our video. Move this. So all we're going to do is Control-Shift-K on this. Delete the tail room, so we want to keep the clip as small as possible. We're going to zoom out on our timeline. We're going to take our clip, and that downbeat is going to be that exact kill. So we drag it there. We're going to fit the screen. So we're going to drag this out, drag your clip out so you can kind of see what's happening. And you're just going to play it back and see if that kill comes up at the same time that the beat hits. So here's the example. So that downbeat, there's a kill. Boom. And boom. Cool. Now, all you're going to do is repeat the process for the rest of the video, cutting in kills to every other beat. And you want to pace it so that it's not just kill, kill, kill. We're trying to tell a story and we're trying to keep our viewers engaged. So we want to make sure that we are leaving enough tail room and lead room so that the audience can catch up to what's happening and not just see a kill, kill, kill with no context. I'm going to go in and do all of those beats, all of those cuts to kills, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start fine-tuning our product. Great. So that is all done. What we did was we went through and we cut basic headshots to basic beats. And this is what we came up with. It's going to look very, very boring. There's not a lot of flair to it. But when you watch this video, again, we're looking for the headshot to land on a beat marker. And this is what we have so far. Great, so now we have our basic cuts. It's very, very boring, but we have the gist of it. So now our next step is to make things more interesting for the viewer to watch, and how we're going to do that is by implementing transitions. Now, transitions don't have to be overcomplicated, and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to link you guys to a free glitch transition pack. It's not my own transitions, but you can use them. They're royalty-free, and they're going to make it so much easier for you guys to add in transitions to cover those hard cuts to tell more of a story. So, after you've downloaded the transitions, we're going to get back into our editing software, and we're going to go and drop them on top. So now that we have our basic hard cuts cut to the beat, we want to add transitions to the video to hide those hard cuts and to help us tell the story. What I've included in the description of the video down below is a link to a YouTube video where you can download a glitch transitions pack preset for free, and they show you how to install those. So I want you to go click out, go download and install those, because that's going to be the basis for the next steps. Okay, so now that you've had the presets installed, the next part is very, very easy. We're going to go into our project bin. We're going to right click, click new item, click adjustment layer, and then click OK. Let the default settings stay because it's going to match your sequence settings. We're going to take this adjustment layer and drop it over top of the cut between these two clips. And you'll notice that nothing has changed. Hasn't done anything to the video, and that's because we have to now add in the transitions from our presets. So to add the transitions from the presets that we've now installed to our computer, we're going to go to our effects panel at the top of the screen. You're going to go into presets, drop that down, and you're going to see a new folder there that says Film Crux Glitch Transitions Volume 1. We're going to drop down that menu, and in here you're going to see all the transitions that they were talking about in the video that you can apply to your adjustment layer. So we're going to pick one that kind of suits our fancy. Let's see here. We're going to do Stutter Zoom. That seems pretty cool. And you'll notice that the title, after what the transition is called, you'll see it in parentheses. It tells you how to cut your adjustment layer. So for example, this Stutter Zoom transition says 6 frames before to the end of the second clip. So that's probably the most complicated one. That's why I picked it. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our cut here in our timeline. We're going to go right to where that cut is. So that's the cut right here. And it says 6 frames before. So we're going to go back, use our arrow key and press left and do 6 frames back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to trim your adjustment layer to the playhead. Right there. Super easy. Now we're going to go back to the cut. And we're going to read the other part of the transition instructions. So it says, to the end of the second clip. So we're going to drag our adjustment layer to the end of the second clip, which is here. And now you can drop the Stutter Zoom transition onto that adjustment layer. Now that that's dropped onto the adjustment layer, we're going to play it back, and you're going to see that there is a transition. There it is. So it zooms in and it does it gives you like a little cross zoom animation with some RGB splitting. So all we're going to do now for the rest of this part of the video is go in and add an adjustment layer to all of the cuts that we have in the video to make our transitions more interesting. So I'm going to do that now and we can speed through it. So now we have all of our transitions on the timeline. I mix them up based on preference, based on how the music sounds, and based on like what I'm feeling and how the story is flowing. Feel free to experiment with transitions. Go and watch some YouTube videos on how to make custom ones if you want to get really, really into it. They can be extremely, extremely simple, or they can be really, really complicated. It's just a matter of preference and how much time you have. So we have our transitions in our timeline now, and I'm going to play through the timeline so you guys can see. Some of them are very, very obvious, while others are more subtle. You want to mix them up because you want to make sure that you have a bunch of variety in your montage. So here's what we have, and you'll be able to see as I play through the transition over top of everything to make it easier to recognize when there's a transition. So here's what we have. And there's our video so far with just basic transitions put over our hard cuts. So the next step for us is going to be to go in and make some finer edits to the beats. So I left some gaps where there's some longer space in there, and that's because I felt like there was a beat change in it that I could kind of mix up the flow of the cut. So everything's not just hitting on a downbeat. We want to make sure we're also hitting upbeats. So we're going to get into a specific example using the Li Zheng Tower clip where we kill Lucio, just to demonstrate just how you can get creative within the edit itself. So we're in our timeline here, and this is the clip that I want to play with. I left it long on purpose, and I also left out beat markers here because there's a little bit of a shift in the music here that we can use to change the pacing of our video. And you'll kind of see what I mean when we play it back. So you can kind of hear those dun 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 dun, right? So we're trying to hit on those individual beats, and all I'm going to do is find where it hits down, and we're going to do just like a little bit of a flicker effect. And how we do that is we find the beats first and we mark them. And basically we can use our waveform here. I tried to mark them. We can use our waveform to find the beat. So this is the first beat, and what I normally do for something like this is very simple. I just cut a section before, make sure the downbeat is black, and the beat afterwards comes back up. So once we go in and we have those beats cut out to black, it just mixes up the flow of the video a little bit. This is a very, very sloppy version of that, but I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. So here's our clip now. And all that did was mix up the beat and hit on some snares. You want to take your time with that and really match it up to the beat because you want it to tell a really, really good story and kind of mix up your viewer's thought process on the flow of the video. So now your transitions are done. You have some cuts to the beat. Your edit is looking better. But now we want to tell more of a story with our edit that's not just visually appealing. And to do that, I like to use the caster's audio to add another layer of depth to the story. So remember when we went in and we synced in the full match VOD to the POV? The reason we did that is because if a player gets a kill, so Baby Bay gets a headshot, chances are the caster is going to say something about the headshot, like, oh, Baby Bay gets another 3K. By syncing it, it's going to save you time now because you can just you can go into that moment where he killed him and find what the caster is saying and pull out those bits. So let's get into the software and I'll demonstrate that better. So we're in our timeline, and what you're going to do is you're going to find your clip of the kill. So for example, here's Baby Bay killing, who is that, Rascal? Yep, so he kills Rascal, and we're going to listen for the caster audio. So I'm going to unmute this track here. So I've been muting the audio from the casters, just so I can get the Widow kills. But now we can mute the music, we can mute the game audio, and we can listen to what the casters are saying.
In the chat.
Yes! Trying to step up, baby.
See in the chat.
Yes! Trying to step up, baby. They had to find the key.
So you can hear where he's talking about Baby Bay finding kills. I'm going to then take this clip and I'm going to copy and paste it in to the end of my timeline here. And I'm just going to start snagging. You'll see here some voice lines. I recolored them purple to make it easier for me to tell that they were voice lines. That you just right click and then go to label, and then you can change the color. Once we have all of our voice lines, all you want to do is go in and start putting them in the pieces of the story that make sense. So for example, we're going to listen to this voice line here.
Baby Bay dives easy in the chat.
Yes!
I love that about Atlanta.
So we're going to take this audio clip and we're going to find a spot in our video that makes sense. So
This has got this.
I think it would work very well here. So he gets the kill. And we drop it in here. So now what you have is something that sounds like this. Oops, let's unmute our music first. There we go. You have something that sounds like this. So we're flavoring the video using audio. I'm going to go in and drop my sound bits around the timeline to mix it up anytime there's kind of a lull in the action, or anytime that you think that the casters tell a better story than your visuals, or that it enhances your visuals, you're going to drop it in accordingly. I'm going to go in and do that so you guys don't have to watch, and I'll meet you guys in the next segment. Great. So now we have our audio all dropped in. All I did while I was doing that was I balanced the audio so that you can hear the music, the casters' voices, as well as the gameplay, and you just want to balance that to the best of your abilities using your ears, obviously. If you don't know how to balance audio, go check out some YouTube tutorials. Very, very easy to adjust, very, very easy to balance. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of practice. So, next steps, once we have our audio bits dropped in, everything is mixed down properly. Now we just have to stylize our video to change the colors and make it look more visually appealing. So we're going to hop back into the software. I'm going to show you guys how to colorize using Adobe Premiere Pro. And then I'm also going to go and do my own color edits using a program called Red Magic Bullet Looks in After Effects. It's a little more advanced, so I'm going to leave that part of the tutorial out. But if for anybody interested, if that's a video you want to see something about, make sure you comment down below to let me know, and I can make a tutorial on that as well. So now we're in our software here. And what we want to do is drop a new adjustment layer. Oops. We want to adjust a new adjustment layer into our video, and this is how we're going to color everything. So we're going to drop this on top of a new layer here. We're going to drag it across all of our footage because we want to change everything. The first thing I want to do with this video is I want to give it kind of like a cinematic look. So we're going to crop the video itself by going into our effects panel. We're going to type in crop, and we're going to drop that on the adjustment layer that we created. Once we do this, it's very, very easy. You're going to go a couple frames into the video. First, what you're going to do is we're going to do 8% off the top, and we're going to do 8% off the bottom. And now you have a more cinematic black bar look. Instead of just dropping it in, we can actually animate the crop. So we're going to go into our effects panel here, and we're going to switch scenes so you guys can see this better. So here's your effects panel. What we're going to do is we're going to go a couple frames into the video here where he's focusing on Rascal, and we're going to create a keyframe. It's very, very easy. So you go into the effects control panel of the clip. We're going to make sure that our adjustment layer here is clicked and selected. Click Effect Controls. We're going to click the little stopwatch next to top and then stopwatch next to bottom. We're going to scrub back to the beginning of our clip. Make sure that we stay on the adjustment panel. And then we're just going to type in 0% and 0%. And what that's going to do when we scrub through is it's going to animate your black bars to fall, to kind of fall in. You can see there. So when we play it back, your black bars come in. That's the easy part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open our color panel here, and we're going to start stylizing our video to make it look a little bit more interesting. The first thing we're going to do is go into our base correction, and we're going to pull down the contrast, and we're going to switch panels here. So this is your color panel, and basically color is all up to your preference and the kind of feel that you're going for. We're going to go for a high contrast, kind of punchy vibe on our adjustment panel here. So to do that, I'm going to lower the contrast so that it gets this faded film look. I'm going to do some base corrections here, bring down our highlights, bump up the blacks, and the saturation can stay the way it is. Now, to get a high contrast image, we're going to go into our curves panel here. Again, this is more advanced, so I'm just going to speed kind of through it. And the basic gist is we want to create an S-curve. We're going to bring our shadows down, bring our highlights up, and that's going to darken our images across the map. So now we have this moodier feel. I like to add a little bit of a post-crop vignette. We can go into our color wheels and match. We can add in some blues to our shadows, some oranges to our highlights. And now you have a basic color edit to make it look more interesting. If you want, you can go into creative. There's some pre-made LUTs that are in here. When you click on, you can't see it on my screen for some reason, but when you click on look and it drops down, you can select different types of looks. So you can find one that kind of fits your mood. That's actually kind of cool. It's a little too dark, so just bring the intensity back up. And now you have a stylized looking video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go into my After Effects program. I'm going to add my personal colorized features to it to give it a different look. I wanted to show you guys how to do it within Premiere Pro. So when we get back into Premiere, it's going to look very different from this color grade that we just did. But the same effects apply and the same method applies. So you want to follow either doing it in After Effects or you can color grade in Premiere like I just showed you. So we're back. All I did was take my project timeline, I threw it into After Effects, I used Magic Bullet to get the color grade that I want and the style that I want, and then I re-put it into Premiere. So let's hop back into Premiere. So we're in Premiere now, and as you can see, the color of the video has changed. I've color graded, I've changed the way that it looks, I darkened it, and I wanted to go for like a grungier look, and keep the reds kind of muted. So, once your color grade is done, you have it all stylized, all we have to do now is drop in the last assets to our video. For this particular competition, Overwatch League has provided an end card, and I will link you guys to that in the description below. So all I did was import that, I dropped it at the end of the video, and there's that. And then we just need a title sequence. So we're going to go back to that piece of character footage that we got, the Widowmaker recording. So here's our Widowmaker recording. We're going to start it here. Mark our in point. There's your out point. And you're going to drop it in this. And all I did for the title, you can use titles within After Effects if you go to Graphics. And then you click your text tool. There's a whole bunch of templates on the right-hand side, which we're going to change our scene here. So there's a whole bunch of templates on the right-hand side here. If you don't know how to use After Effects, just double-click one of the titles, drop it on top, and it's fully editable in the program. Super easy. I highly recommend just doing that if you're a beginner. What I did was I went into After Effects and I generated my own title. So we're going to drop that on top. And I added like a glitch effect and animated it to look glitchy. And I labeled it an Atlanta Rain montage. So once you have your title and your end card in place, you're going to watch through the timeline one more time. See if there's any cuts that you need to fix, any color grade that's not working. Make sure your voice lines are audible. Make sure the game volume is balanced. And then you can finally export your video, make a cool thumbnail for it, title it, and make sure you submit it to the contest. All right, our video is exported, and that is the end of the process, my friends. If you're still here watching, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If this video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up so that I know I'm making content that you guys enjoy and helps you guys build on your skills. For anybody entering the Overwatch contest, please tag me in the videos you make. I'd love to see them. If you need help with any of your edits or if you need more tips and advice that cater more towards what you're making, feel free to hit me on any social media. It's @DeBurger everywhere. If you don't already subscribe to the channel, please hit subscribe, turn on the bell icon. I want to start posting more frequently, and we're going to get there as we go. And without further ado, folks, here's our final product.
Dude, baby Baydome's easy in the chat.
Yes!
I love that about Atlanta.
Rascal is noticing that, but Baby Bay finds him. Troy, oh my! Troy Kirby went from, well, full health to none. Super hasn't really been paying much attention to it. Violet. Gets smashed by Baby Bay. Baby Bay has time to type a question mark in chat. Over the edge once more, and it's 99-0. He said early in these fights, and Baby Bay. That's great. Baby Bay was pretty much put on the mission this round to shut down two of the scariest players in the league, and he gets them both.